People have been calling for, or maybe they're just goading me on to make this video, but they've been calling for the Raptors to sign, drumroll please, Carmelo Anthony. I'm going to put this to bed forever and officially bury the casket. Carmelo Anthony is poison. He should never be on the Toronto Raptors. And if any self-respecting NBA team wants to win games, they will stay as far away as possible from Carmelo Anthony. I'll first give my opinion. Obviously, that's what this podcast is about. But then I'll back it up with some cold, hard, irrefutable facts. So if any of the following points trigger you, then just skip forward to the part where I start spitting pure evidence, because it's all there. There's a bread trail, or breadcrumbs, a paper trail, as you may. And Carmelo Anthony, unfortunately, great player. He just doesn't deserve to be in this league anymore. And here's why. And I'll preface this by saying that I was a diehard fan of the Knicks pre-2011. So at one point, I was even a huge Carmelo Anthony fan. But not anymore. Here it goes. If NBA teams, this is my favorite metaphor, if NBA teams are like, clusters of helium-filled balloons racing to space, Carmelo Anthony is the rock that you tie onto the strings that holds them back. His play style just is not conducive with winning in the modern NBA. And heck, it wasn't even conducive since 2012 when the Knicks had their only 50-win season with Carmelo Anthony, and it was a huge downfall spiral from there. And I saw it as it was happening. I saw the imminent disaster, and no one believed me. And when I transitioned to become a complete diehard fan of the Raptors, I still have a special place in my heart for the Knicks, but obviously Raptors fan now. I saw it again with DeMar DeRozan, and this is basically what happened. Is Carmelo Anthony operates in extreme isolation offense with a slow first step and a reliance to settle on fadeaway jumpers. I think he might even like fadeaway jumpers. He's not lengthy for his position, so his fader isn't lethal. He doesn't have that Kevin Durant fadeaway where it's impossible to get a hand on. He didn't add new moves to his offense his entire time in New York, so he became a predictable person to guard. He was useless against a defender that was quick laterally because of his slow first step. He never learned to play off-ball offense. He couldn't run in transition, and every shot was a heat check. If you remember the classic kill switch celebration, he had some very unnecessary deep three-pointers throughout his tenure in New York, and then especially in OKC and Thunder for his 10-game stretch when he was, just wanting to get shots up that he was used to. But the worst, he couldn't even play defense. Never could. Never put in the effort. He was absolutely lost out there. And I predicted that all of these factors would destroy the Knicks, and I was right. And I'm a Thunder fan because I like Westbrook, and I knew he would make the team worse than the garbage team Westbrook dragged in the previous season, and worse the current season that they had him, despite also picking up a top 3 player in Paul George, or a top 5 player in Paul George. I knew Melo would ruin them. I was right. And I guaranteed that Melo would get cut or traded before the trade deadline, because the Rockets are trying to make a legitimate push. They took the Golden State Warriors to 7 games, and Carmelo Anthony is not capable of being on such a team. So right, and right again. I knew these things were going to happen, but let me convince you with some facts, okay? And you can. I'm just going to dig into this most recent season, the current season that we're at now. This is irrefutable. The Rockets limped out to a 6-7 start, 5-7 start, and their undrafted rookie Gary Clark made it obvious that Carmelo Anthony would have a reduced role under him. Imagine, this is a person that people think is a shoo-in for a Hall of Fame candidate, and his role is going to get reduced by an undrafted rookie. He was shooting just 40% from the field, on pace for second worst of his career, when there was really nothing else asked of him. He was playing on a team where all of the offense was revolving through James Harden, and brutal 32% from 3. His defense just as bad as always, and all signs were looking down. But this is the real shocking part, is that in the 2 games that he started for James Ennis on the Houston Rockets, he averaged 16 points in about 33 minutes, still getting a lot of time, shooting 33% from the floor. Horrible. But he was a shocking negative 27.6. Negative 27.6 during his time on the court in those two games. As a reserve, his shooting percentage went slightly up, but 29% from threes. That is horribly dismal. And it was a negative 6.2. So when you're putting Carmelo Anthony out on the court for the Houston Rockets, if you don't understand what the plus minus means, is that essentially he is getting scored on. The entire lineup that's out on the court is getting scored on. So they're losing by almost 30 points as him as a starter. They're going down when he's stepping foot on the court. And then as a reserve player, they're going down by 6. And this was his average throughout his 10 game stretch on the Houston Rockets. That is horrible. He was tied for worst on the team. His net rating was -9, and they had an overall offensive rating. So this is not even to consider the defense, but their offensive rating was 102, which is worse than the current 30th ranked team in the league in the Chicago Bulls with an offensive rating of 103. And now after getting rid of Carmelo Anthony, the Houston Rockets are now the second in the league in offensive rating with 114. So if you go back, I don't need to go into it myself, but if you go back and look at the Thunder, just look at the Thunder's statistics and Carmelo Anthony with them, and it's going to give you the exact same results and conclusion. So to cool off a little bit here, I get really heated, and it sucks because, like I said, I used to really love Carmelo Anthony. I was a Knicks fan before he even came, and I thought that this was a blockbuster trade, and there was 2 promising build-up seasons and then 1 good season, and then after that, then I realized it's all downhill, unfortunately. But Melo, he's a dinosaur, but not like a cool one that you'd want to visit in like Jurassic Park or something. But he's rather like your friend's great grandma, that kind of dinosaur, and she just sits around and makes everybody uncomfortable because she's so old. That's Carmelo Anthony. And what's the best case scenario, you might ask? Well, the best case scenario is that he takes his talents to Golden State, so we finally don't have to see that horrendously overpowered team make the finals again. Or we see him go to the Lakers and buddy up with LeBron, and then we can just let those two wither out of existence in the NBA hand in hand. Bit harsh on LeBron, I'm sorry, but I'm just bitter towards how he's destroyed the Raptors fans' souls for the past 4 seasons. So I'm glad that he's finally out of the East, but that's harsh. You know what? He's just trying to do his thing over in LA. But what will actually end up happening is that he won't get picked up by anybody. And the reason for that is because only one franchise would be so dumb to pick up a guy like Carmelo Anthony. And guess what? They already had him. That's right. Even the New York Knickerbockers won't fall for this guy's antics a second time. But they'll do some pretty stupid stuff in the meantime. Cough, cough. Trade away a potential superstar for nobodies. So you could offload Tim Hardaway Jr.'s big contract just so you could potentially sign 2 free agents, even though you could have signed them both and still kept your potential superstar if you had to have just got rid of Tim Hardaway's contract as is. Now, you might say, it was impossible without Porzingis to... I don't want to delve into it. The Knicks, I don't know what they're doing as a franchise, but they didn't need to get rid of Porzingis. But they're not picking up Carmelo Anthony again. So, yeah. That's it. Stop commenting, please, that the Raptors should pick up Carmelo. No, they shouldn't. And I want to say that I love you guys in the comments, everybody that watches the Raptors Digest podcast. I really do love you guys. I just need to establish some order here. Some order, or the whole world is just going to become chaos. Because once people start thinking that Carmelo Anthony would be an asset or anything thereof, it's up to the dogs at that point. Keep commenting. Anybody else? Even Swaggy P might have his upsides, but I guarantee you Carmelo Anthony, unfortunately, would not. So just had to make this podcast, just so everybody knew. And, if you made it this far, as always, like and subscribe, please. Check the Twitter and the Instagram. Our website is dropping soon. Our app, this is crazy. Been spending all night last night coding in API. I don't know what the heck any of this comp sci stuff is, but bunch of stuff coming out. So if you made it this far, thanks. Cheers. Oh, shoot. And cheers.